Welcome to another episode of Food Bite. So while we are doing sort of this long series, unintentional series on fungi, where we're landing today is truffles. That's right, what you're staring at in front of me, these little potato-looking things that are so small, these are Oregon white truffles. Now, when we moved to the Pacific Northwest, we did not know that these were actually a local delicacy here. And I've got a little bit of story to tell you guys about how we came upon this very plate of truffles. So let's go there first.
My truffle journey began on a Facebook group called Pacific Northwest Truffle Buyers and Sellers, where I noticed a lot of people were actually desperate to sell truffles. It turns out the pandemic has shuttered a lot of restaurants that would ordinarily be the primary buyers this time of year. So I looked, and then found a buyer from the marketplace, the Facebook marketplace, who seemed to have some to sell. Now, $10 to $15 per ounce, or now $20 and beyond, sounds maybe high, but actually truffles can go for $40 to $50 an ounce in a typical ordinary year. So just where are these sellers getting their truffles? In parts of Oregon and Washington, the forests are teeming with fungi this time of year. Sellers will drive to these forests and forage for these heavenly delights. Some bring along dogs trained to pick up the scents of the truffles, while others just bring a trusty old rake to pick away at the forest floor. And here we see success. Back to my own truffle saga. The seller eventually told me about 2 days later that he did have my truffles ready, and the rest of this conversation is where we discuss where to exchange money for truffle. He eventually wanted to bring it over to me, maybe so that I don't actually see where he got it.
So now that you've seen how we got our truffles, the next part is what are we going to do with them? So today, just for something quick, I'm going to put together a truffle butter, a white truffle butter, which will go really well on all sorts of things. It can go well on steak, can go well on bread, and we're just gonna give that a go and see how things go.
So just like with mushrooms, you're not meant to run these underwater, these truffles, to clean them. Now, you do have to clean them because they come buried in dirt and soil when they're found. So the best way to do it is to take a trusty old toothbrush that's clean and just brush the surface very carefully. Now, I think when I bought these, the vendor probably already did some pre-cleaning, so I don't actually see any dirt off of these, but this is what you would want to do when you first get your truffles home.
Now, I can already smell these delicious truffles. The way I would describe them is that they're kind of a really pungent mushroom. It's got this umami scent to it, almost like a sun-dried tomato. And it just, when it hits you, it's like very strong. So you don't actually have to do anything to these to make them shine already. So what we're going to try to do is infuse their flavor into the stick of butter here. I'm not actually sure how much butter I'm going to use. I'm starting with half a cup of butter and seeing where I go with that. And this should already be room temperature, or else I'm going to have a really hard time mashing the bits of truffle into my butter. So unsalted butter, some salt, sea salt here that I'm just going to add to taste. And that's it. These are the 3-star ingredients. All I need is a little microplane for which to grate my truffles on, and then we are going to mash things together. So let's do that. Look at that. Look at that color. It's almost like shaved chocolate. Look at that. So many different colors too. And that has to do with the maturity of the truffle, the ripeness. Now I've got my trusty fork, and I'm going to put in a little bit of butter at a time to mash it all together. Divine. Okay, so we used about 5 tablespoons of butter along with the 25 grams of white truffle that I started with. And this is now the consistency of that mixed butter. I put in just a little bit of salt to taste, so you do want to taste as you go to make sure that you like it. And you'll see that this is literally an undiluted truffle butter. I didn't want to make this mostly butter, just a little bit of truffle. I want every little scraping of this to be full of truffle. And this will keep very well for about a week in the fridge. So I'm just gonna put it into sort of a block so I can put it in my container here. And then throughout the week, you can put it on some bread, put it on some pasta, put it on some fish or steak. So I'm looking forward to doing that a couple of times during the week. If you're hearing that ticking sound, it is because I have some bread that is being heated in a toaster oven over there. And the bread that I'm using is the Tongzheng milk bread that I showed you how to make in a couple of videos ago. I will link that right there. And it's very easy, just slice it up a little bit, provides the perfect canvas for the butter that we've made. So I'm looking forward to trying that in just a little bit. Well, my bread toasted and my butter ready to go. Seems only fitting to have this little snack with a glass of Prosecco from Italy. So let's take a little bit of the butter, try it on some of this bread. Love how crusty that sounds. All right. Ooh. You know what I find most interesting about the truffles? It almost feels like a perfume in that there is a top note, middle note, and that base note in there. Depending on the situation, it tastes like a completely different aroma. And this butter, I can tell you, it tastes very mushroomy and very garlicky. Maybe that's one that I hadn't tried or hadn't tasted before when I used the truffle in the preparations. Oh, it's very good. Completely elevates the bread. Cheers. Okay, so it's a brand new day and we decided to indulge a little bit more in some steak. So the steak I prepared sous vide and then did a reverse sear after the fact. And it's already been topped with some of that beautiful truffle butter. And I'm just gonna go the extra mile and shave some truffle on top. So potato peeler, not terribly fancy. And just gonna shave. Okay, let's dig in and see how this tastes. It's still pink on the inside, just the way I like it. Some truffle on it, butter. I'm speechless because that was such a big bite, so delicious. Couldn't even open my mouth to describe it. Very earthy aroma from the truffles. You can taste it, it goes very nice with the beef. And I think one thing that I found is that truffles can actually go well with a whole range of savory dishes you're already making in your daily life. And to make it easy for you, you can even put it into a butter beforehand, like with our truffle butter. And then it's just a matter of spreading it onto anything you like. Pasta, steak, bread. This is really delicious. The cat's being fed, so I'm gonna actually have some lunch. Thank you for watching Food Bite. I'll see you guys in the next episode.